Hello and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who've come back, it's good to see everybody back here. So if you'll stay with me for the next 5 or 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is give you 3 key tips to how to master finger picking. So that's 3 key tips, so it's not going to take long to do this. And it doesn't matter whether you're an accomplished guitarist or a beginner, it applies to everyone. You can pick this up at any time in your playing life or at any age, it really doesn't matter. So one of the things you might want to consider is actually retuning your guitar to an open tuning. That could be open G, open C, open D, open E, doesn't really matter. This guitar's in open D, and the reason it's in open D is I play most of my music in open D. But what it means is when you hit all the strings, if you're strumming, it's a D chord, which makes it a little bit easier for when you're doing your finger pick practice. Because the first practice you're going to have to do, and this is tip number 1, key number 1, is just understand where the strings are and get a feel for them under your fingers. It's that muscle memory. So make sure you practice this whole set of these 3 tips for about 10 minutes a day. That'll suddenly become second nature to you. So keep your left hand off the fretboard, and if you're left-handed, that would be your right hand. Either way, you're just going to use your picking fingers, which for somebody like me who's right-handed, it's on my right hand. And all you're going to do really is let the open strings ring out and just get a feel for where they are. You don't need to worry about the rhythm or worry about what you're doing. You just need to know where those strings are without having to look at them. And alternate your thumb. And there's no rush. Take it nice and slow. Because what you want to do is ring the strings out clear. Now there's various picking patterns on the market. There's Travis picking, you name it, there's a multitude of them. Pick one which suits you, but really get to know where the strings are first, because as soon as you know where the strings are, it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier when you're learning how to finger pick. So that's step 1. So practice that. Step 2, you'll know chords. You'll know your C chord, your G chord, your A chord, your D chord, probably. And if you don't, there's plenty of tutorials online that will show you how to do in standard tuning, C, D, E, all the chords that you need to do. In open D tuning, it's a little bit easier because the chords are closer together. But for step 2, which is one of the main things, is to get you to understand how the chords connect together while you're finger picking. Choose 2 or 3 of your chords. You could use a G, C and a D, and you can move between them quite quickly. On this guitar I'm going to use with this tuning, I'm going to use a G, a D because it's open, and an A, and I might jump back between the 2. And then what you're looking to do is just to practice. And you can hear and then you can start feeling the music. And what you're doing is you're practicing over those chords that you probably already know. And what you're doing is you're practicing which strings you need to pick. And if you can, don't look at the fretboard. Try and keep on looking ahead of yourself, or close your eyes, because what you're doing is you're trying to teach your memory of where the strings are or where your fingers are on the strings. So it's just a case of practicing that and practicing always understanding where your fingers are on what strings and where and how close you are to them. So it's pretty straightforward in that respect. You've just got to keep on practicing it. Step 3 and key area 3, that's really good to look at, which will give you a really good grounding for playing in fingerstyle, is pick some notes on the fretboard. And that's why I said if you go to an open tuning, we've got all these open strings which ring out, and then what you can do, you can start to put a bit of feeling and a bit of effort into your practice. So although these are all scales, and scales everybody thinks is really boring, because all we're doing is we're playing the scale. You can start putting a bit of music to the scales, you know, a bit of feeling to the scales. So find yourself a note on the keyboard and use that as your anchor point to start with, and then start to play your open strings and your anchor point. So now you know where that one is, and what you need to do then you're just looking for and that's on the high D string on open D and DAD, F sharp AD. But you can do it on any of the strings. Start playing around with it. You start to really enjoy learning how to fingerpick, because what you're doing is you're actually picking out some notes, some tunes, some melody as you're picking the guitar. And if you keep on trying to do this more on a subconscious level than on a conscious level, it's a bit like when you learn how to drive a car. If you've ever learned how to drive a car, you're trying to use the accelerator, the clutch, the mirror, steering, the gears. Everything's there all at once, and then all of a sudden it comes together. And it only comes together because you keep on practicing it time after time. So what you can do, you'll learn how to pick the notes out off the fretboard and create nice melodic pieces of music, which will really impress your friends if that's what you want to do. But then as you progress and you progress more with your finger picking, you'll be able to look at popular music, and it doesn't matter whose music it is, you can finger pick all of them, and we'll do that in a later lesson. But anyway, I hope that's been of help, and thank you very much for dropping by. I hope you've enjoyed this, and please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll keep on producing the videos, and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.